Welcome. I'm so glad you're all able to join us today for me to give an opening address and to take your questions and to provide the best answers I have with the information I have at this time as we engage in these unusual times in at-home teacher-led distance education. Before we do begin, I would like to acknowledge and thank our producers and have them introduce themselves, because you'll be hearing their voices throughout the broadcast, particularly at the end, as they will be managing your questions and feeding them on to me. So Grace Dunford and Trina Henley, would you please say hello and introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, I'm Grace Dunford and I am the Community Relations Lead.
Trina, you're muted.
Hi everybody, my name is Trina Henley and I'm the Executive Assistant to the Director. It's so nice to have everybody here today.
Well, thank you both so much, and again, thank you all for taking time out of your very busy days to join us. As we always do, I would ask you if each of us to put ourselves in the presence of the Lord and pray with me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Most merciful and triune God, we come to you in our weakness. We come to you in our fear. We come to you with trust, for you alone are our hope. We place before you the disease present in our world. We turn to you in our time of need. Bring wisdom to doctors. Give understanding to scientists. Endow caregivers with compassion and generosity. Bring healing to those who are ill. Protect those who are most at risk. Give comfort to those who have lost a loved one. Welcome those who have died into your eternal home. Stabilize our communities. Unite us in our compassion. Remove all fear from our hearts. Fill us with confidence in your care. Jesus, we trust in you. Jesus, we trust in you. Jesus, we trust in you. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So thank you so much again for being here today. As I mentioned, I do have a few words that I'd like to share with you, and then we will open it up to question and answer, and at that time Trina and Grace will provide additional instruction on exactly how you do that. So the words I say today, a lot of them I did pen myself, but I also want to give credit where it's due. I thank Drs. Carol Campbell and Dr. Sim Kern for providing some of these additional ideas and support to these ideas. In Ontario, we are not engaging in online learning at this time. We are engaging in emergency remote teaching. The Kenora Catholic District School Board values, supports, trusts, and respects students, families, educators, and education workers. We will do everything we can to encourage and support students' well-being, equity, learning, including providing required resources. I have asked all educators to use their professional judgment to work in collaboration with each and every student and their families to support student learning as best they can. Together, we will make sure to identify and provide specific supports for all students, especially our most vulnerable. All students will graduate and will otherwise progress to their next stage on time, as they would have in normal face-to-face at-school learning, and arrangements will be agreed upon for graduating students' high school qualifications and grades to be awarded differently and formally recognized for post-school destinations. We will listen to each other, students, families, educators, community members, throughout this ongoing process and adapt plans as needed based on expert health and educational advice. We will act in partnership and with care, compassion, and kindness. Supporting every student is the core purpose. We are in the midst of a frightening pandemic. We recognize and understand children and adults are dealing with a lot, including physical, mental, and emotional health issues. We'll do the best we can together. It won't be perfect, nor should it be. We're all human. Breathe and prioritize taking care of yourselves and each other. We will all do what we can to engage students in learning, but be assured when we get through this, we will invest everything we have in ensuring students are fully supported back in school to continue their formal education. A couple of other questions you may have may be, what does distance learning look like? And it may take various forms based on the professional judgment of your child's teacher. We do have virtual learning environments. There are 3 of them that we use in the Kenora Catholic District School Board. These are Google Classrooms, Desire to Learn Brightspace, and Microsoft Teams. These are all secure learning environments. They're federated, which means all of our information is in them. We own the information. Nobody else can access the information, and so they're very secure sites. In addition to this, or an alternative to this, where this isn't possible for various reasons, email, regular mail, phone calls, delivery of materials may take place to either supplement or take the place of distance learning where distance learning is not possible. We have many resources to support students. Our province has put up excellent resources in the ministry's Learn at Home portal, which many of you may have taken advantage of. And we have Kenora Catholic, through the efforts of many of our excellent staff, have developed a resource center that you can also access. We our excellent mental health team you may have received through Facebook or through direct email or other means that our mental health services are still available. And during this time, they're more important than ever, because they do want us to know that we know this time can be super difficult for children, especially now that the novelty of no school has worn off. Please see the important information from our mental health team at Kenora Catholic. If your child was not seeing someone but you think they need support now, please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll help you find what you need. Together we'll get through this. So I thank our mental health team for that message, and know we're here for everyone. So in summary, our educational professionals will do everything they can to lead, to connect with students and families, and to teach and provide supports. We all will work together to look after student safety and well-being, physical, mental, and emotional, as our first priorities. Then we'll provide engaging learning opportunities, including play, as we're all best able to do in the circumstances we find ourselves in. We recognize and understand that children and all of you, there's a diversity of home and care situations right now. Many of you are essential workers. You may have multiple children at home. There may be an older sibling looking after the younger children while you're all at work. And so our teachers will work with all those situations and will differentiate instruction to something that really works in your household. Because we know that you as parents and guardians are dealing with a huge amount currently and are doing as you always do, as we always do. We're all doing the very best we can to love, care, and provide learning for our children, for your children. And we know that some children and families will need specific supports, and we'll do our best together to provide these. And so I'll say this through the question and answer too, but do convey to your child's teacher that's reaching out what those specific supports may be, and we will do everything reasonably possible, of course, with the blessing and approval of the Northwest Health Unit to keep us all safe, to provide these. And so I know I said a lot of words there, as I sometimes do, as my staff will attest, but I want everybody to remember one thing. This is a really unusual, stressful, unprecedented situation, and all we're asking everyone to do, staff, families, students, everyone, is to do our best in the situations we find ourselves in, and we will all bend over backwards to meet each other where we're at and do the best we can to first and foremost look after everybody's health and safety and do what our excellent national, provincial, and local medical officers of health are telling us. And then when that's looked after, we'll do the best we can to provide the best education possible in this not ideal situation. So with that, again, I thank you for your kind attention, and I will turn it over to Trina and Grace for some further explanation about the question and answer process.
Thanks, Derek. So the next part of today's session is designed to be interactive and engaging and allow for two-way communication. Derek has been looking forward to this opportunity to spend time with you, and he values and appreciates your questions and encourages you to ask as many questions as you like. Yesterday, during our live event with Kenora Catholic staff, Derek was able to answer 57 questions in less than an hour. So that really speaks to his commitment to the process and being here with you today. So if you're comfortable, we encourage you to use your first name to ask questions. We understand that not everybody is comfortable in a live environment, and you can also choose to remain anonymous, and that is fine too. So to ask a question, click on the little question mark box in the upper right corner of your screen, and that will open the live event Q&A chat window. In this window, you can type your questions. And we see a couple of questions are already coming in. Derek wants to make sure he's able to give each question attention, and so Grace and I will be reading each question one at a time, and then Derek will respond. Derek will answer as many questions as he can today. If he can't answer your question, or he simply doesn't have enough information right now to answer your question, he will let you know. Something to note is your question will not automatically show up after you submit it because we are holding them in a queue, so Derek has time to address each one. You may also have similar questions to other questions already in the queue, and what Grace and I will be doing is watching for duplications or similar questions, and we will do our very best to filter them out if they've already been answered. To see questions from the entire group once they are answered, you just click on the featured button. And so that's it for instructions from me today. Grace, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, just one quick thing. We found that yesterday it's best that when you ask your questions, you try and be as concise or short as possible. And if you have multiple questions, of course, we welcome that, but type them out separately so that way Derek can address each one individually and give you the best answer.
Okay, and with that, I think we are ready to get started. Grace, did you want to get us kicked off with the first question?
Sure, absolutely. All right, so this first question is from Marge. It says, good afternoon. I would like to know if homeschooling is going to affect the number of hours students are required for French immersion. Thank you,
Marge, for this question. So it's been made very clear from the minister that the at-home teacher-led distance learning will not negatively affect students in any way. So as is the case with all subjects and disciplines, French language instruction will continue to the best of our ability to administer, and students will still accumulate the hours they would have accumulated in school, and we will, as I said, when formal schooling begins again, we'll pick things up and keep moving right along. Thank you.
Okay, so your next question is from Nikki, and Nikki asks, says, I appreciate this conference as an opportunity to communicate about the strategy and ask questions. Thank you. In terms of social health and well-being of students, I am concerned that online gaming has become one of the popular methods for students to connect socially. If you, as a parent, do not permit this, then your child is socially disconnected. Is there any room for teachers to assist in offering opportunities for social collaboration through video conferencing as a healthy option for social connection?
Thank you, Nikki. I can certainly appreciate your concern. I'm sure it's a shared concern for many parents. Teachers often do offer advice and alternatives to such activities, and the work they'll be assigning, and again, as you've probably read, from K to 6, it will generate about 5 hours of student work per week. For older grades, or for grades 7 and 8, it's 10 hours a week, and then from 9 to 12 at secondary, it's 3 hours per credit course per week. And so that will help direct students from activities such as online gaming to more productive pursuits, especially in the virtual learning environment and subsequent work that is generated from that.
All right, and the next question we have is from an anonymous person. It says, how do I help my child in grade 2 with his online learning? How do we do it?
This is definitely a great question, and I really appreciate your thoughts. With younger students, it certainly will be more challenging, especially when you're at work. Teachers, again, will communicate with you at a time that works for you, and will coordinate with you based on the circumstances in your home to help facilitate learning. Some primary students are able to engage in the virtual learning environment, and teachers will do their best to help remotely with that. As I mentioned before, there may be other delivery methods that teachers may decide in their professional judgment and in communication with you are necessary. And I mentioned some of those earlier, and we will do our best to meet all of those needs as they come up. But the virtual learning environments will be one we will really try to engage in, and whichever adult or caregiver is at home at the time, if they're able to engage themselves in that learning environment and pass it on to the younger ones, that's one possibility too. We realize that won't be possible in every household, and so again, teachers will, as they always do their best to differentiate to meet the learning needs that are presented. Thank you.
The next question is from Liz. And she says, the Ontario Learn at Home program does not offer grade 10 academic science and grade 10 academic math. Do you know if these will be added?
Thank you, Liz. That's a good question. I don't know if they're in the process of adding that, but we will note that question. And I know Trina and Grace will note that question. And if you can email us with your return contact information, then we can get you an answer on that. Great question, thank you.
All right, this next question is from Ashley, and you did already address this a little bit, but if you just wanted to kind of reiterate, it says, how many hours a day should our kids be working on schoolwork? How long will the online school go for?
Thanks, Ashley. This is one that does bear repetition. So the guidelines we've received from the ministry, along with the focus subject areas for each division or group of grades, is as follows. So for our youngest students up to grade 3, we'll be aiming for about 5 hours of student work per week. And again, that's based on the teacher's judgment, may cause that to be modified a little bit, and in consultation with you, the parents and caregivers at home. In grades 4 to 6, it's also 5 hours a week of student work. And in grades 7, 8, it's approximately 10 hours a week of student work will be generated. And at secondary, at grades 9 to 12, it will be 3 hours per credit course per week. And again, these are guidelines, And again, working with your teacher and the teacher using their professional judgment to differentiate, they may vary somewhat from that. So thank you so much. That certainly can't be repeated enough.
Okay, Derek, the next question is from an anonymous person, and this question is top of mind for many people, especially our students. And the question is, will the school year be extended into the summer?
And thank you, Anonymous. Many people certainly are concerned about that issue, and that question has been directly answered, and the Minister of Education did answer it directly and did say at this time that is not the case. Depending on what we do find out in the future, as you know, this is a very fluid situation. I think the Premier had said at one point that everything's on the table, but at this point the information I have indicates the school year will end at the time it was originally designated to end. If I get information, updated information, we will be passing it along to you and everyone else as soon as possible.
All right, and this next question is from an anonymous person again. While we all pray that staff and teachers remain healthy, is there an alternate plan to provide online content to our children should their teachers become ill and unable to provide this? Stay safe, everyone.
Certainly appreciate that question, and that's another great question. There is a plan, certainly. So if a teacher who is providing the teacher-led at-home instruction becomes ill and is unable to do that, they will be replaced with somebody else, and they'll be in communication to the best of their ability with somebody else to ensure continuity of learning in that situation. Thank you.
And your next question is from Damien, and Damien asks, is their Chromebook the only device they can use, or are other devices compatible for this distance learning environment?
Excellent question, Damien. Thank you. And the virtual learning environments are web-based, and so they will work with other devices also. So it should not be an issue, and if there are difficulties with different devices, our teachers, please convey that to the teachers. They'll do their best to assist, and if the teachers require further assistance, they know who to reach out to help with any of those technological issues. Thanks, Damien.
Next question is from Brenda. She asks, my girls tell me that they have not received grades, but only feedback. How will they be evaluated?
Thank you, Brenda. Many people are concerned about this also. And we will be receiving, I'm hoping today, further information from the ministry. What I can tell you is that from junior kindergarten to grade 8, the teachers will be focusing on feedback and formative assessment. So certainly assessment will be going on, and it's assessment for learning. So instruction to help keep the student learning moving forward, to assess what's needed going forward, and to continually provide that. Sometimes it may happen all online. Sometimes there may be a physical delivery or pickup of work to assist with the teacher feedback process and the formative assessment. If in grades 9 to 12 there will be culminating assignments and different assignments that will be marked and graded, and they may be delivered online via various means, via the virtual learning environments. Sorry, folks, or email, or they may be need to be, depending on the nature of the assignment that the teacher is asking for and that the students can reasonably provide. There may be pick up and drop off involved also. So great question, Lee. Thank you.
Okay,
sorry,
so this
wasn't Lee.
This next question is from Lee, and so Lee asks, is this an environment where the teacher will physically be teaching the lesson, or is this more of just having the student work posted online?
Okay, very important question, and it will vary according to the professional judgment of the teacher. It will be a mix of that, certainly. Some things will be posted, as is the learning at home environment from the ministry, and some work will be directly delivered by the teacher through the virtual learning environment, or through a sending of an email or a phone call, or in some cases where the at-home environment doesn't allow for the virtual learning environment, then a physical delivery and pickup of work. So thanks,
Great.
Lee.
This next question is from Liz. It says, will teachers be expected to respond to questions students have regarding assigned work during typical school hours, i.e. 8:45 to 3:15, or will they have a 24-hour window?
Liz, I think many people are concerned about this, parents, students, staff, and given that some staff might have 2 or 3 or 4 children at home they're looking after, and may have a spouse that's an essential worker coming in and out, maybe looking after parents, may have somebody that's sick in the house. So there is some flexibility around those hours, but rest assured that our educators will do their very best to provide the best education possible in these situations, including working with you to set reasonable and mutually acceptable hours to be able to keep the learning moving forward.
Okay, so this next question is from Zara, and Zara asks, have teachers been in contact with their students yet about the logistics of their virtual classes and remote learning? And then Zara follows up with, this is probably more applicable to students in higher grades, secondary schools.
Well, Zara, I appreciate your thoughts in both questions, and definitely all parents should have received a contact from each of their students' classroom teachers or subject teachers at the higher grades secondary schools. And part of those conversations, in addition to, I know our teachers have been missing their students very much and want to find out how their students are doing, but also some instruction would have been delivered in that way about what to expect around virtual learning and other ways the teachers will be asking for demonstrations of learning throughout the closure period. Thanks, Zara.
Great, and here is an anonymous question. Are students expected to do online work for their classes that are not considered core subjects, i.e. art and music?
That'll be based on the judgment of the teacher. Certainly art and music are also very important. Where there's a credit course in art and music, our teachers are already being very creative in how they'll be delivering lessons and keeping the learning moving forward. And classroom teachers at all levels, certainly they may be incorporating art and music into the delivery of the lessons, even if language and math, social studies, science, religion, family life are their particular areas of focus. Great question, thank you.
And this question is from Nikki. Is there staff training support being offered to permanent teachers to provide age-appropriate education to students about current health strategies, how viruses are transmitted, what does social distancing mean, who needs to practice these prevention measures?
Thanks, Nikki. That's a very important question. Our teachers are educators, not healthcare professionals, but where it comes up in the curriculum, they will certainly be talking about that, and we will continue to pass on all of the excellent health advice and information from the Northwest Health Unit, primarily at a central level, and the teachers, using their professional judgment, may reiterate some of that excellent advice, depending on the ages of the children, and they'll definitely deliver that information in an age-appropriate way, and always in consultation with you, the parents. We always value your advice. Thank you.
And here's another anonymous question. Is there a central page or place where those who are supervising the learning can get info on what is available?
Absolutely. There's, in fact, we have a kind of a good problem. We have more resources than, it's almost bewildering the number of resources. So your child's teacher will help direct you to the most appropriate resources, given the feedback they're giving your child and the formative assessment they're doing. So that is a huge point. The teacher will deliver a lot of learning that many of our students will be able to do independently, but they'll also be giving you advice as you require on additional learning and resources as you communicate to the teacher. Great question, thank you.
Here comes another really good question, and this is from one of our anonymous viewers. Is my child getting assessed during this stressful time? If so, how will the assessment be given in a fair and understanding manner?
And a great question, and it does bear repeating. From JK to 8, the focus will be on providing feedback and formative assessment. And so that does take care of a lot of the equity issues. The grading and that will occur for JK to 8s will be primarily based on the work your child's already done from the beginning of September to right before March break. But of course the continued work's also very important, keeping the learning moving forward. At secondary, grades 9 to 12, there is more formal assessment, and so both the culminating and the during the closure assignments will be graded, and your students will receive the same support, same concerns with equity, and the same consideration and compassion that teachers always demonstrate in face-to-face learning environments also. Thank you for those thoughts and that thought-provoking question.
All right, and this next one is actually a comment from an anonymous person. I would like to thank you for doing what you can to help our kids. You are appreciated.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to pass that on, of course. I think the you means all of our educators, all of our staff. I consider everyone who works for Kenora Catholic an educator, and all of the parents, families, community members at home that are part of this team in this grand venture of education. That although, as I said now, it takes a back seat to definitely to our current health and safety concerns, but in that environment we'll deliver it as well as we can. So thank you for those kind words.
This question is from an anonymous person. If the students end up going back before the end of the school year, will the secondary students have exams? Great question, and it has been discussed. We have not received direction from the ministry at this time, but we are holding it in consideration. But rest assured, a decision on that, if we do go back before the end of the regular school year, will be made taking into consideration the best interests of our students, as we always try to do. Thank you.
All right, and here's another anonymous question. What is the plan for EAs that were supporting students in class?
I really appreciate those thoughts, and during our session yesterday with all Kenora staff, that did come up. Our EAs are valued educators, as is every Kenora Catholic employee, and it's the classroom teacher or subject-specific teacher will be the primary contact with their students, and they will work in conjunction with all other support staff, including education assistants, to help provide that at-home learning. And so sometimes various staff supports, including educational assistants, will be involved where appropriate. Great question, thank you. Here comes another really good question from one of our anonymous members. Is there a set time schedule made by teachers for students to be online for academics, or do students do their schoolwork when they want throughout the day? That's absolutely a very important question, and teachers using their professional judgment will convey those set times that work best for everyone. I'll throw a couple of words at you, virtual learning environment words, asynchronous and synchronous. So asynchronous is work that is delivered and can be done at any time, basically, or by the deadline the teacher may set. Synchronous is work done in a virtual learning environment that is at a set time, the teacher's on live. So the teacher will communicate and will hear from you what works at your household regarding synchronous and asynchronous learning as I've described them. Really appreciate that question. Thank you.
All right, this next question is from Dawn. Will the school board offer Chromebooks or other devices for kids to use at home if the family doesn't have any means of them getting their online studies done?
Thank you, Dawn, for that question. And the answer is that teachers in communication with students and families are assessing and collecting that information, which will then be passed on to the school principal and vice principal. And then we will engage every resource we have to ensure that our students get any piece of equipment or material that the teacher in their professional judgment determines the student needs, and consultation with you, the parents, is very important in ascertaining that. And so there'll be more information on that, and of course anything we do, especially when if it may include pickup or physical delivery, is done with consultation with the Northwest Health Unit to make sure we are doing our primary job, which is keeping everybody safe and healthy and blunting the curve of COVID-19. Thank you.
So this question is from one of our students, and the question is, I've been wondering if the school board will find a way of using the medium of games, because as a student, I have always found it interested me when I hear about classes using things like Minecraft for projects or lessons, or will it be up to the teachers to decide?
Well, that is a fantastic question, and many of our teachers are so expert in incorporating gaming and other activities into learning. And so it is, the teachers are the professional educators, and they certainly take suggestions all the time from students and advice, and the same from parents. And that may include possibilities for incorporating innovations like using gaming in a limited way to move learning forward. Fantastic question. Thank you.
All right, this next one is actually a comment from our board chair, Teresa Gallick. She says, good afternoon, parents and caregivers. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to reassure you that your child's health and well-being is foremost on our minds. As we navigate this difficult time, we are truly blessed to have a strong leadership team led by Dr. Derek Haime. We are also very proud of the way our Catholic teachers have reached out to families to support learning at home. Be assured we will do everything possible to help your child succeed in this difficult time. Above all, do only what you can and stay safe and healthy.
And thank you so much to our chair, Teresa Gallick. I'll say right back at you, because the trustees, as individually and as a whole, are amazing representatives of all of our students, all of our Catholic ratepayers, our community, and we so appreciate their wisdom, their prayers, their advice, and their excellent leadership in this time and at all times. So thank you, Chair Gallick.
Another question from an anonymous member, and it is, some senior students require certain marks for their university college programs and do not learn well with this type of learning environment, and this could impact their marks. How is the ministry going to deal with situations like this?
Thank you, Anonymous. Many people are concerned about that, and the Minister of Education has assured us that whatever trajectory students were on in face-to-face learning, it will not be impeded by COVID-19 and at-home learning. So we will all do our very best to mitigate all the shortcomings of this situation, which nobody asked for, and so students can arrive at the destination they would have arrived at had this never happened. And so the minister has assured us many times of that, and we will employ every reasonable method at our disposal to ensure students can learn optimally in this non-ideal situation we all find ourselves in. Great question, thank you.
All right, we have two questions back to back here, which are asking the same thing. If parents have not yet heard from our teachers regarding the learning logistics, how do we connect with them?
So if you haven't heard from your teacher at all, definitely phone, email us, phone, email the principal, vice principal, and we will ensure the contact is made. It's likely a technical or timing issue, because I know all teachers have been working really hard during these 2 weeks, these initial 2 weeks, to reach everybody. So do reach out, and we will help, because it's likely probably a technical communications issue, not from lack of trying. So thanks for that great question.
All right, the next one is from an anonymous member, and it is, what is the plan for co-op education?
This is definitely a concern, and something we've heard from employers, from students involved in co-op, from our co-op teachers. And our co-op teachers will be using a variety of methods to replace those co-op hours, because of course at this time, from the good advice we do receive for our medical officers of health, the face-to-face work, and many of these workplaces are closed, and more will be closed given the announcements of Premier Ford today. So these co-op placements are not possible in the way they continued. But alternative experiential learning through virtual learning environments and other means, as the co-op teachers' professional judgment dictates, will be delivered, and co-op students will not suffer from this. Again, whatever trajectory the students were on in the face-to-face learning environment will not be impeded or changed in any way because of this situation. So creative solutions will be applied, and some will be quite individual to students depending on their circumstance, and students will be able to end up at the place they were supposed to end up in a face-to-face learning environment in this situation we find ourselves in. Thank you.
All right, and here's another anonymous question. Is the required course material going to be relayed to us as the parents and guardians, e.g. younger grades with no email addresses for the students?
Again, absolutely, and I'll reiterate the point I made earlier, is that teachers will work and communicate with you to find the best way to deliver the learning, the best way we reasonably can deliver. So absolutely, we realize where you're able to. Parents are going to be actively assisting, especially their young children, and teachers will work with you to find out the best ways to do that in your environment and with what you have on your plate.
Next question, will the grade 8 Toronto trip be postponed or refunded?
Thank you. That is a question many people were concerned about. Definitely those grade 8 students and their parents and the staff who were involved in organizing that trip. That trip has been canceled. I have written a letter to both the insurer and the trip provider, letting them know that due to COVID-19, we're not able to proceed. And the trip organizers at Kenora Catholic are certainly reaching out to all of the travelers and their parents, or if they haven't, they will do that shortly, to notify them of the next steps with that, especially with respect to refund and associated details. Thank you.
All right, next question. Will parents have email contact info for their child's teachers in order to maintain communication?
And every teacher does have a board email, and they certainly, that's one of the ways they may be choosing to communicate with you if that works with you. And so that will be something that you certainly can work out with the teachers in the communication they make with you. Thank you.
Okay, next question, anonymous as well. If my child was receiving academic support from an education assistant in the elementary school and still needs support at home, how do we go about finding available education support, and who would pay for this?
So another important question. And of course, if you're talking face-to-face support, that won't be available. The Chief Medical Officer of Health has made that quite clear, and we do have to abide by that. However, the EAs will be involved in coordination with the classroom teacher to provide the support that they're able to provide in this at-home remote learning environment we find ourselves in. Again, it's not ideal, but we will work together and try to arrive at creative solutions to keep the learning moving forward, including our other support staff, including education assistants.
Next question is, will students continue to be offered services they were receiving through the schools, such as speech therapy?
So I appreciate those thoughts, and another excellent question. Certainly, we will be working with those professionals and paraprofessionals to, in their professional judgment, to determine how best the continued services such as speech therapy can be delivered. And so that will vary by the environment that's available and according to the expertise of the particular practitioner. And the classroom teacher will, of course, as they always are, be involved in helping to the best of their ability facilitate what's recommended by those professionals and paraprofessionals. Thank you.
So this next question is from an anonymous member. What will happen to classes where a portion of the classes had an outdoor component like outdoor education or H&T dual credit?
So thank you, Anonymous, for this question. And so definitely outdoor ed, our teachers are very creative in finding simulations and whatnot that can approximate the learning environment. But again, students will not be negatively affected by this situation. So we will find ways to deliver specialty programs like outdoor ed. Teachers already have the ways, they know them better than I do, and definitely they will do that. Dual credits, which involve our college partners, for example, are being delivered online in virtual learning environments and using more traditional online learning platforms. And so the colleges will have information on that, and our high school staff that are involved in the dual credit program will also have information to either give directly to those students or to deliver to the classroom teacher that's in contact with those students affected, and will deliver that information and keep facilitating that learning. Thank you.
Next question, for students who access the school's food programs, is there opportunity for them to continue receiving food?
So thank you, and a super important question. These programs will continue to the best of our and our partners' ability. I thank Marnie Buffett so much. She's been the point person for our board in ensuring that our food and nutrition programs can move forward as best we can in this situation. And our principals, vice principals, so many staff who have volunteered, and of course our partners like the Nutrition on Weekends program, all of our donors, our food suppliers have been absolutely amazing to help us keep things going as best we can in this, again, not ideal situation. So great question. We'll continue. And if you have ideas about this and anything else, we're always pleased to hear them about how we can serve our students and you, the families, as optimally as possible, including with nutrition programs.
Next question. How will oral French be evaluated for secondary French immersion students?
Well, I will do my best. Je parle un bon mélange, mais mon français n'est pas très bon. But our French experts at the secondary level will be in communication, and they will be notifying you about how that evaluation will be done. And some of it will be similar using the virtual learning environments, but they have many more creative ways, I know, than I could name, and they will be conveying them to you and to those learners in their communications. Thank you.
All right, this next question is from Liz. It says, will phys ed educators provide students with an at-home routine for exercise or assignments for healthy living or home economics-based assignments?
And again, I will defer to those experts, but I would say there will be a mélange, as I said in my previous, but a mix, and they will be conveying that to you. So, and certainly I have to give a shout out to our Healthy Living lead, Megan Darraward, who has posted and sent so much good information about how to keep physically healthy, especially when we're really asked to stay at home virtually all the time now. So thanks to Megan, thanks to all of our healthy living and physical education instructors for providing such excellent guidance. So there's information on our website, the ministry's posted information, and all of our partners across the province have posted excellent information that your teacher may direct you to also. Thank you.
Okay, this is not a question, but it's more of a comment. Thank you, Dr. Haime, Derek Haime. During these uncertain times, you continue to support not only your students, but also all your staff under KCDSB financially and professionally. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
Well, on behalf of the entire board, I certainly appreciate that, Anonymous. We're all in this together, and I guess right back at you and right back all of you, because we're all in this together and we're supporting each other. And hey, we're a team, we're a community, and we will keep moving forward just like that.
All right, so this next question is from a student. So you had already addressed the grade 8 travel trip, but they're wondering about Senior Travel Club.
Yeah, Senior Travel Club, we did make that decision earlier where we did cancel, and the same process I described around the grade 8 trip did happen, and those travelers have been in communication with the trip leaders, and those processes have been put in place. But the Senior Travel Club, those activities have been canceled too during this time.
All right, the next question is about assessment and evaluation, and it says, what about students who work really hard to improve their trajectory?
And absolutely, that's a great question, and student voice remains equally important to parent voice and educator voice and everybody else's voice. And we learn so much from students, and students that are working hard to improve their trajectory are doing that in consultation with their teachers, and your teachers will provide you good advice on how that, especially that formative assessment and feedback, that's what it's for. It's to help you get where you want to go. And they'll continue to do that to the best of their ability as they do in face-to-face learning. So wonderful question, and we want to keep hearing and responding to the excellent student feedback as we always try to, but definitely in this situation, we need to hear from students how things are going, what you need, and as I said, as we always do, we'll do our best to do everything reasonable to provide for your learning needs and help you meet your goals and stay on the trajectories that you dream for yourself. So wonderful question. Thank you.
All right, next question, also anonymous. Distance learning may not work for everyone. Is there a strategy for those students who may be struggling with distance learning?
So definitely a concern, and much thought has been put forth on this. There are many strategies, and your teacher is an absolute expert at applying a number of strategies, and so they will work with you, work with you, the student, work with parents to find the right mix of strategies in this at-home learning environment that will help you move forward. Great question, thank you.
The next one is anonymous. For the senior students who don't have all community hours accumulated yet and are supposed to be graduating this year, are they still required to have the 40 hours?
Great question. Many students have been concerned about this and have asked, many parents. The 4 students who were scheduled to graduate this year, so this school year in June, if they don't have all their community hours, that requirement has been waived at this point, but teachers will still work to find alternate activities. There are creative ways. You can still get community hours in a virtual learning environment, so that'll be in consultation with your teacher to help you continue if you don't have your 40. But if at the end, despite your best efforts and everybody's best efforts, that it's not there, that requirement has been waived for students who are planning to graduate this June.
All right, so this next question, I'm actually going to couple it up with another question down below because they both have to do with ceremonies. So the first person is wondering about whether or not there will be a grade 7 and 8 ceremony to recognize those accomplishments. And then the other person is wondering whether or not there will be a ceremony for graduating students if social isolation rules are still in place at the end of June.
So a very important question, because these ceremonies and celebrations are absolutely important. And we are already thinking about this, and I know I was just sent, thank you, Catherine Petrazik, for sending a really great idea about a way to celebrate our students. And we will be compiling all those great ideas if our closure extends beyond May 4th. So right now, I'll just stress that this closure period, we're anticipating a return on May 4th. If we get information that tells us the closure period will be extended, we will also make announcements about such celebrations and ceremonies, and we will have a number of ideas to put forth to find ways to celebrate and have these ceremonies in the best way possible, given the good advice we received from the Northwest Health Unit on how to safely do these things.
Okay, the next question is coming from an anonymous parent, and it says, my daughter is in grade 5 and I haven't received any notification on e-learning. So I think she's looking for some advice on what to do next.
So thank you, and so the advice is similar to what I provided earlier. If you have not heard at all from your child's teacher, it's likely a technical issue, a communication issue, but do reach out to us at the board or reach out to the principal or vice principal if you're not able to get a hold of the teacher, and then we'll work out whatever issues are preventing that contact, and then instructions will be given regarding the mode of learning that your child's teacher is prescribing for this time, and of course that teacher will work with you in the home to ensure it matches what's possible at this time in your home. So thank you, great question, and I hope that's helpful so you know how to follow up.
Okay, so this next question actually has two parts, so I'll ask the first one, and then once you've finished answering, I'll ask the second part. So it's from Melissa, and she's wondering your thoughts on a child using their Xbox to access their online classrooms.
Thank you, Melissa. Another important question that many of our excellent musicians, excellent student musicians will be concerned about. Your teacher, your music teacher in this case, or your junior band teacher in this case, will be compiling those needs, including possible instruments that you need to have in your hands. And they will convey those to the vice principal or principal, and they'll be compiled. And again, with the advice from the Northwest Health Unit, we will devise ways to deliver any equipment that teachers prescribed to you, and that's how that might work. But it'll be according to the teacher's judgment what materials and equipment that you need at what time. And again, we'll do whatever's reasonably possible, of course, with the blessing of our especially our Chief Medical Officer of Health, to do those types of things safely. So that's most appreciated, that question, and we have thought about it, and we'll continue to work on it.
Okay, next question is from Liz, and it says, is Megan Darragh directing her healthy living suggestions to all students? If not, is it possible to make this information available to all students? Thank
you, Liz. And Megan's sent out such excellent, many excellent resources and advice, and we thank her so much for that again. And some will be specific to different age groups or perhaps students in taking different courses and subject areas. But there are many suggestions that can be applied to all ages, stages, abilities. And if there's particular adaptation that you're looking for or challenge, you'd like to do something but you're having a challenge, Megan is so expert in thinking about modifications, and as are many of our teachers. But use the classroom teacher as your primary contact for those type of modifications and differentiation, and they'll be certain to, they might have the answer, or they can certainly reach out to Megan, who will help with that type of thing. That was a really good question. I haven't had that one yet, so that was a very unique question. So good one.
Right, next question is anonymous. Is work that is posted by teachers considered compulsory by Ontario's Ministry of Education or the Kenora Catholic District School Board?
Well, that's a very important question, and education from age 6 to the graduation of grade 12 is mandatory in Ontario. However, we're in a health situation, and so our teachers, that's the #1 priority, and our teachers will work with you to ensure the best learning can happen that is possible. And so we're hoping everybody at home, students, families, will work with us. And if there's individual cases that this happens, we'll deal with them on a one-on-one basis to do our utmost to keep learning moving forward, because it's really important we do this. But of course, in light of the situations that you're facing at home. So we will differentiate, we will modify in any way possible to keep the learning forward. And we're hoping for the cooperation of all parents to the best of their abilities and situations, and students to do what the teacher sets out during this closure period.
Okay, before we do this next question, I just wanted to let everybody know that we're approaching an hour now, and we only have one more question left in the queue. So if you're out there and you have a question that you want to ask Derek, now's the time to ask it. So go ahead and type your questions in if you wish to ask a question. And so this question is from one of our anonymous members, and it says, are there any thoughts on summer learning programs?
Thank you, Trina, and thanks to our anonymous member. There have been many thoughts. That question was asked directly to the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Education answered that a decision has not been made on the summer learning programs yet. We will await more up-to-date information closer to the time. As I mentioned, right now the closure period is up to and including Sunday, May 3rd for students, with a return on May 4th for students, and staff would be returning on May 1st according to the phase 2 of this current closure. If it's extended, I'm sure we'll receive more information on how that may impact summer learning programs. Thank you.
All right, this next question is from Deb. It says, where is the best place to find consolidated information regarding at-home learning? The individual school's Facebook page or the Ministry of Education website?
Well, again, Deb, super question, and I appreciate those thoughts and asking me to answer that question. The Ministry of Education website has very good information around at-home learning. That information is intended for students and families to engage independently, although the classroom teacher may refer to some of that as it pertains to the program and assign and utilize that too. The resources that are on the Kenora Catholic website are equally excellent, and the teachers may use those too, and may use resources and direction of their own devising according to their professional judgment. So that, again, in a nutshell, that'll be in consultation with the classroom teacher as to what types of they'll be recommending what types of resources are best to keep the learning moving forward in their particular course or with their particular group of students in a classroom. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a flurry of new questions here, and I'm just going to bundle these two questions together because they're similar. And the question is, when is the structured learning going to start? And the second part of it, similarly, is when will we know if courses will start up?
Well, phase 2 is set to begin on Monday, and then so your teachers will be, if they haven't already, will be conveying that to you. That doesn't mean you'll be online in a virtual learning environment right on Monday. It may happen later, or the teacher may reach out in another way a little bit later, but definitely next week you will have further information on the continuation of learning at home. And again, the teacher's professional judgment will dictate when that happens and the pace according to the guidelines that are set out. Thank you. Great question.
Right. This next question is from a student. Is there a way to re-watch this?
Thank you. We had a similar session for staff yesterday, and the recording worked perfectly, and we were able to send that out to staff. So we're anticipating the same today. So I never want to bank on technology, but if it does work, if the recording comes out well, we will be making it available to our families as soon after this, as we ascertain that it's a good recording that will be helpful to you. So great question if you want to rewatch it, or if somebody wasn't able to be here at this time due to work commitments or just at home care commitments, then they can be rewatched, and there'll be information for those people about how you can ask your own questions, because obviously it's not live, but there'll be additional information when that's sent out as to how you can ask questions and have your questions answered. So thank you again, a really important question and an excellent one.
Okay, next question. Are there going to be opportunities this year for graduating students to apply for post-secondary bursaries?
So great question, anonymous, and probably an anonymous grade 12 student or a parent of an anonymous grade 12 student. We're trying to adhere to all of the regular timelines as would have occurred if this had never happened, and so that will still apply. So you'll need to contact your teacher or the guidance department to get further information on those post-secondary bursaries that still may be available or would normally be available at this time.
And sorry, Dara, is it okay if I add something to that? Just because I've actually...
Please do.
So a part of my job is helping the schools update their websites with information during this time. And I've actually been working with both Erin and Katie at the high school, and they've created what we're calling a virtual guidance office. It's actually going to be premiered on the Facebook page tonight, and it is up and running. And on there, Erin has done a fantastic job of uploading a document that includes all of the bursaries and scholarship applications with links to the forms that you can fill out. And then she's also created a video that shows you how to fill out those forms. So if you go to the St. Thomas Aquinas website, it's under our programs. It's called Virtual Guidance Office. And then you'll see there's information for graduating students, including all of that information about scholarships and bursaries.
Well, thank you, Grace, and thank you again to our anonymous grade 12 student or parent of, or whoever did ask that question, because you partially stumped the director. And I thank Grace for coming to my rescue with that excellent answer, and thanks to all involved in doing that work for our students. So good one.
Okay, we still have some more questions coming at you, Derek. So this one is from one of our anonymous members, and it says, sometimes my child comes home with homework that they did not fully understand, possibly due to being shy to ask for extra help. Will their teacher be there after hours for questioning, or where could they go for some extra help?
Yeah, stellar question, A+. So there are online extra helps available through TVO and different mechanisms, and we've posted some of those. We'll repost some of that homework help that exists provincially. And as far as after-hour support from teachers, that'll be in communication with your teacher and according to their professional judgment, their own availability and your availability. Certainly we'll do our utmost where it's reasonable and possible to arrange all kinds of extra help scenarios. So definitely communicate with your teacher to figure out how those things can best be facilitated, and we'll work on also making prominent on our website what provincial homework helps are available, because there's some limited ability to access those too. Great question, thank you.
All right, this next one is a comment from J.A. Whiting. They say, thank you very much, Dr. Derek Haime. Your professionalism and compassion while answering questions and relaying information is extremely helpful and well spoken. It carries a sense of relief during these times of uncertainty. Again, thank you.
Well, J.A. Whiting, I so appreciate that. And again, I just have such an excellent group of educators to work with, all the Kenora staff, and so I will pass on those kind words to them also, because they also help prepare me for all this, and I draw on their expertise so much. So what I'm doing here today, yes, I'm here and I'm the talking head, but I'm representing a staff that just blow me away every day with their compassion, with their expertise, with their knowledge, with their faith, but again, thank you for the kind compliment. But I will certainly share it.
And this question is coming to you from Sam. And Sam says, first of all, I would like to thank you for all your supports and help to families during this unprecedented time. My question is about EQAO exams for grades 6 and 9. Is there any updates about those exams?
Great question. So EQAO and the requirements of EQAO, that's for high school students, OSSLT, have been suspended for this year. That means they will not happen this school year. So grade 6 and 9 EQAO testing, grade 3 EQAO testing, and the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test will not be happening for this school year.
All right, next question again from a student. What is happening to dual credit? I am part of one and would like to know more information about what is happening with that.
And Alex, I am sure you are a fantastic student, Mr. Normal Senior Student. I love that. So dual credits, they're in conjunction often with the college, and they will be going forward largely on an online basis, but I will definitely defer to your supervising teacher at the high school to provide. So do reach out to them, and they will certainly reach out to you to get that dual credit online learning going forward. So great question, and I know you will be reached out to. If you're not, do reach out to us at the board and we'll help facilitate and bridge that communication.
Okay, another question from an anonymous member. In the past, post-secondary institutions participated in a fair in Kenora to offer information to graduating students. Are there plans for these institutions to have virtual options this year, considering the situation we are currently in?
All right, bingo, Anonymous, you stumped the director also, but I know my very excellent staff. Some of them are out there saying, ooh, me, but they don't have the capability to answer orally right now. But if you can reach out, we will get you that information directly. I'd suggest an email or a phone call to the board or the high school, and we will get that information about what those arrangements are in replacement for that fair if it cannot happen. Given our current situation. So great question. Totally stumped the director on that one. Good for you.
So Derek, that was the last question in the queue. There are no further questions at this time.
Okay, last time we paused for a couple of seconds and a few more came up, but it's certainly okay if they don't. So I'll just pause. Silence is golden too.
Oh, okay, one did just come in. So it says, while returning to normal circumstances, will more classes be online than before?
So anonymous, again, another important question. As you're aware, before all this happened, plans have been announced for on online learning credits starting this year for students to attain. It starts with the entering cohort of grade 9s, and that will be 2 credits. And included with that, if online learning in that situation just won't work, then parents can request exemption for 1 or both of those credits, and those credits are to be earned over the entire 4 or 5 or more years of high school. But again, in consultation with your parents, you can either do those credits or have your parents express that exemptions needed for 1 or both, and the school will respond accordingly. We'll be getting some more information about that because that all has to be solidified, but that's kind of a lot of the information that's been in the media to this point, and it will be solidified through official memos from the ministry shortly. Great question.
So we've got our student Alex out there again, and he just popped in another question, and he asks, will this be happening again, because this has been very informative?
Well, Mr. Normal Senior Student Alex, who I suspect is fabulous, as needs dictate. Certainly, if there's further information and if folks have questions and would like them answered in this forum, then I am more than willing to do this again. The recording of this particular session, if the technology works as it should, will be made available. But I'll say we can do sessions like this as needed, given any information that may be coming at our way in the future. Right now, I've given you everything I have. Your excellent questions. Well, one totally stumped me, one partially stumped me, and so I've given you everything I have at this time, all the information that's been delivered to me. So if we do get new information, this may be a forum that would be totally appropriate, because I really have enjoyed answering your questions, and here comes another one.
All right, this one says, when will this year's grade 10 students write the OSSLT?
So the OSSLT is not happening this year. So this year's grade 10 students will have an opportunity when we return, presumably this fall, or it could be a little later, but we'll get more information on that. So grade 10 students will have an opportunity in the future to write the OSSLT. It will just not be during this school year. That even if we go back on May 4th, the ministry has announced that EQAO is suspended for this school year. So another great question.
So I just wanted to say that we still have over 100 people in the live event right now, but we currently don't have any more questions. So that was the last question.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Trina and Grace, for doing an amazing job producing and keeping me on task and on track and supporting me. Thanks to all of you in the audience, students, families, parents, staff, community members. We are so grateful that we're in this together. This is a tough situation, and we're all going to support our heroic healthcare providers. We're going to support those who are sick. We're going to do our utmost to blunt this curve, to work with our excellent leaders. I have nothing but commendations and praise for Premier Ford, for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I think all of our healthcare workers and our medical officers of health at the federal, provincial, and local level are superstars. And anything we can do to support them. And then, of course, the education is secondary to everybody's health and safety in this situation. But we're all just going to do, as I mentioned at the start, we're just all going to do our best in this situation to keep the learning moving forward. And so keep communicating with each other to convey the needs, and we're all going to do our best to meet the needs where in the most reasonable way possible. So we do have one more question though, and so I will be pleased to answer that, and then we'll let everybody go to their very busy days, because even though we're all at home, I know everybody's still very busy, and there's many people, essential workers, that are to and from home from work and are very busy. Some may have to be getting to work now too. So the last question, I believe.
Yep, and so here comes your last question. For students who did not retrieve their locker items in high school, will there be another opportunity for this?
So great question, and just on a side note, your custodians have been very busy getting rid of any leftover food that was left in lockers, because that's problematic. But we will have to await further direction from our Chief Medical Officer of Health locally as to when that could be facilitated, because as you're aware, only 5 people can be in an entire school building because we're not labeled an essential service. And so it would be very difficult to facilitate that. So if we get further information where we see an opening to facilitate that, especially if the closure is extended beyond May 4th, we will do that when it's safe to do so from a health perspective. And so you'll get information from your principal or vice principal, or through your principal or vice principal, if and when that becomes feasible. Good question. Okay, that seems to be it. Again, I thank you for your time, and I know many of you were working and caring for each other and your families during this time, so I doubly appreciate those who were able to participate. For those who are watching this as a recorded session, again, please do, if you have further questions that aren't asked and answered in this session, please do forward them according to the instructions that you'll receive with the link to the what I hope for is the whole recording. So thank you again. God bless. Keep being amazing in these situations. We often see the best of humanity come out, and I've seen so many examples from Kenora staff, from our community members, from parents, from students, from everybody, and it just warms my heart. And I know it is so pleasing to God when we respond this way and support each other in this way to give God ever greater glory. So God bless you all. Be safe. Bye.